Guys, we need to have a serious conversation about dating and marriage. I believe the most malicious and destructive narrative in American politics is that men are lonely because of feminism. I wonder what kind of ungrateful jerks came up with that idea. Do you know what man's sex life was like before feminism? So basically, you won't even be able to touch a woman's hand until your parents buy you a wife. The reason you can have a premarital dating life at all is because of things like sexual liberation and contraception and women's economic independence and all that feminist stuff. Feminism literally saved men, no less than it saved women. If it weren't for the MAGA movement, I had no idea so many weirdos out there still fantasize about the pre-modern traditional kind of marriage. And of course, for a lot of people, traditional marriage is really just a dog whistle for child marriage. So I wouldn't even call it a marriage, honestly. It sounds more like normalized daily sex crimes. So if you have a traditional marriage fetish, well, firstly, you should know that marrying someone who hates you is not as pleasant as you think. I don't know what to tell you. Like paying someone to sleep in your bed is dangerous, especially if you're an asshole to her and she controls the kitchen. But okay, let's say you just love the thrill. Okay, you think being a powerful patriarch and reproducing at will is worth the risk. Okay. But what's your plan to achieve that kind of marriage? Did you guys really think by electing Donald, he will just usher in a new age of handmaids and make marriage great again? Let me give you some hard data. Viktor Orban of Hungary is conservative enough, right? A lot of conservatives see him as an idol. And his country's fertility rate is only 1.5 per woman, way below the replacement rate. And Putin's Russia is conservative enough, right? The fertility rate, 1.4. And what about East Asian countries? I'm from there and I know they're not feminist. Okay, crazy pay gap between men and women. But does that help with their marriages and fertility? No. The entire East Asia's population is in free fall. Abysmal fertility rates. Even North Korea, okay? Even North fucking Korea is not having enough babies. What about Latin America? I know a lot of people like to make racist jokes about the Latinos having a lot of babies. But in reality, Latin America's fertility rate also dropped below 2, which means their population will start going down in the near future. Africa and Middle East still have high fertility rates, but they also dropped quite a lot in the last few decades. So basically, regardless of culture, religion, or political systems, when countries get richer, there will be fewer marriages and fewer babies. You can't beat it. Conservative politicians tried everything. Limiting abortions, protecting child marriages, excluding women from positions of power. No, not gonna work. Maybe in your eyes, Donald can break the curse because he's the second coming of Jesus. Nah. Even the first coming himself wouldn't be able to force people to get married in a modern society. That ship has sailed. Well, guys, don't despair just yet. You won't get back the traditional marriage, but that doesn't mean you have to be lonely. There are actually a lot of things you can try without relying on oppression of women. I'm not a dating expert, but I have some advice that I can guarantee will help you. You won't even believe how simple and costless they are. Firstly, do the fucking dishes. Put it in your Tinder profile. I do dishes. Capitalized, okay? Instead of posting your weightlifting photos, post some yummy food you just made in your own kitchen. Like grilled salmon or some shit.
But I don't know how to cook.
Well, that'd be a valid excuse if this were the fucking 80s. In this age, everybody can cook because YouTube is free. There isn't a single dish you can't find an instruction for on YouTube or TikTok. You want to flirt? Stop sharing your stupid dick pics. Nobody gives a fuck about your private parts. Send something you cooked. Dish pics, not dick pics. You get it? It won't reverse the population decline probably, but it can save you personally. It will cost you so much less than having a president who thinks trade deficits equal tariffs. Instead of investing in Donald, invest in your fucking self. It's way more efficient. Well, maybe it will save the population decline. Who knows? If every straight man becomes good in the kitchen, maybe someday a majority of women will finally enjoy marriage for the first time in human history. Wouldn't that be great? If you can't even handle doing chores, then your problem is not loneliness or sexual anxiety. Your problem is that you are fucking spoiled. You need some military training more than a marriage. And of course, there are other tricks. How about stop asking for sex all the time? You're not in a goddamn movie. You don't need so much sex. Stop counting second base, third base. Those terms are disgusting, honestly. If you can't enjoy the company of a human without sticking out your genitals, you shouldn't even have a partner. You should just move next to a strip club. Why bother dating? And find a hobby that's not exclusive to men. You can still watch football or whatever knucklehead sports you like, but also find something that's slightly more subtle. Straight men need to understand that not every activity has to be a gender-affirming ritual. Everyone should have a feminine side. By the way, the fact that you shave your beard already makes you sort of transgender by caveman standards. Right? Shaving essentially is just man's attempt at looking feminine. That's it. If you're not afraid of shaving, you should not be afraid of doing some gender-neutral activities or even feminine activities. Again, if you don't want to share any activities with a partner, you really shouldn't try to live with one. You'd be better off with a brothel membership or something. What I'm saying is that there are so many costly things you can do to improve your chance at happiness. But instead, you guys expect the reality TV guy to help you. Like, are you kidding me here? That guy will only make the ladies more skeptical about living with men. I read this article on Substack. The author is not like a hardcore MAGA guy because he's definitely well read. And he has a way bigger vocabulary than I do. I actually needed a dictionary to read that shit. But you know, nerds can be incels too. That guy's basic argument was that feminism will kill civilization because straight men will lose their motivation to work. Whoa. If men are that fragile, maybe they should be replaced by AI. Like, get it over with. You know what I mean? But the main question I want to ask that author is, what do you mean by civilization? What will be left of civilization without liberation of women? If civilization is reduced to a stupid medieval nobleman fighting for territories and building tall-ass churches, I don't see the point of keeping it. Feminism doesn't kill civilization, guys. Feminism is civilization, at least in the modern sense. Have you noticed that every foundational piece of literature is essentially feminist? Even the most important ancient Chinese novel, written at a time when women still had to bind their feet, was a coded feminist classic, celebrating women's talent and mourning their tragedies. I can get a little emotional thinking about that book because it's so beautifully written. And also look around your social circles. Every truly happy couple you can find has a non-hierarchical feminist relationship. Go check it out. Feminism is the gold. If you roll back women's liberation, what do we have left? An Instagram filled with church choirs and housewife routines, and Netflix with only tele-evangelists. Fucking kill me. By the way, guys, I will start live streaming. The first time I did it, TikTok censored me for reused content. So next time I'll try to talk about light-hearted things that I normally don't put in videos. Let's see if it works. I'll do it every Friday morning, 10 a.m., which is 7 a.m. Pacific time. So catch me on TikTok.